Hello students. Today we will discuss therapeutic measures taken to treat intraoperative bronchospasm. The choice of treatment of bronchospasm depends on number 1, presence of pre-existing disease, number 2, the circumstances which are responsible for the bronchospastic response, and third, severity of the condition. The therapeutic approach to intraoperative bronchospasm consists of number 1, rule out the mechanical causes for wheezing. The mechanical causes are number 1, endotracheal tube obstruction, number 2, mainstream bronchial intubation, that is endobronchial intubation, and third is pneumothorax. Another, deepening the anesthetic using volatile or IV anesthetic. Third, stop the surgical stimulation. These are the therapeutic approaches. And nebulize with beta 2 agonist, albuterol, up to 10 puffs, and steroid. And we can give IV lignocaine. The dose is 1.5 milligram per kg. This is the therapeutic approach to intraoperative bronchospasm. Then consider the neuromuscular blockade. Give intravenous corticosteroids in the form of hydrocortisone. The dose of hydrocortisone is 2 to 4 milligram per kg, and we should consider deep extubation, postoperatively ventilatory support. These are the therapeutic approaches to intraoperative bronchospasm. Now we will see one by one. Deepening the anesthetic. This can be achieved by intravenous anesthetic agents like propofol, ketamine, or etomidate, and deepening can be done by using volatile agents. Then we will see about the ventilatory management. The ventilatory management of bronchospasm under anesthesia is derived from experience gained from ventilating patients with status asthmaticus. In this patient, ventilatory management consists of low tidal volume. It can be kept as low as 8 ml per kg, and slow respiratory rate. It is within 6 to 12 breaths per minute. This will provide prolonged expiratory time. This will minimize air trapping and its consequences of hemodynamic compromise and barotrauma that can be avoided. Aiming for the minute ventilation of 100 ml per kg, and we should keep plateau pressure less than 25 centimeters of water to prevent dynamic hyperinflation. We can give permissive hypercapnia. This can be given the levels of PaCO2 up to 90 millimeters of mercury. Is generally tolerated when adequate oxygenation is achieved. The main contraindications is intracranial disease. This is about ventilatory management. Then we will see positive end expiratory pressure and positive end expiratory pressure. The expiratory time is at least twice the inspiratory time normally. That is, IE ratio is 1:2. When we ventilate patients with bronchospasm, the IE ratio is 1:3 or 1:4. This will allow for complete emptying of the lungs or complete emptying of the lung units. If expiration is short or if there is premature airway closure, breaths can become stacked and intrathoracic pressure increases. This will result in inadvertent positive pressure at the end of expiration, that is intrinsic positive end expiratory pressure, IPEEP or ATOPEEP. This ATOPEEP results in increase in work of breathing or work of breathing for self-ventilating patients, and predisposition of barotrauma in mechanically ventilated patient. The following conditions tends to reduce the IPEEP, that is intrinsic positive end expiratory pressure. Number 1, largest tidal volume with possible without excessive peak inspiratory pressure. Second, slowest respiratory rate with effective carbon dioxide elimination. Third, faster respiratory flow rates to decrease IE ratio. The excessive intrinsic positive expiratory end expiratory pressure, that is IPEEP, and dynamic hyperinflation may also increase the intrathoracic pressure, and it decreases right and left ventricular preload. This will lead to decrease in cardiac output. It will cause hypotension, and this effect is called as volutrauma. Then the most serious consequences of IPEEP and dynamic hyperinflation is barotrauma. Pneumothorax, pneumomediastinum, and pneumoperitoneum may also occur. The barotrauma correlates with degree of the dynamic hyperinflation. Now we will see permissive hypercapnia. The permissive hypercapnia is a relatively safe strategy in ventilatory management of such patients, that is patient with bronchospasm. High levels of hypercapnia and associated severe acidosis are well tolerated in absence of contraindication. Then we will see the choice of ventilator. Inhalational anesthetic agents are potent bronchodilators and have successfully used in the management of status asthmaticus refractory to the conventional therapy. In short, the ventilatory management of patients with severe bronchospasm are: number 1, slow rates, that means respiratory rate should be between 6 to 12 per minute. Then long expiratory times, that is IE ratio is 1:3 or 1:5. Second, low to moderate tidal volumes, that is 6 to 10 ml per kg. Third, permissive hypercapnia, that means accept PaCO2 values in 60 to 100 mmHg range in presence of adequate oxygenation. Next, no PEEP. In ventilatory settings, watch for intrinsic PEEP and signs of barotrauma. Next, manual emptying of the lungs. How it will be done? It will be done by squeezing the chest while tracheal tube is disconnected from the ventilator. To FRC if severe hypotension or pulseless electrical activity. These are the ventilatory managements of the patients with severe bronchospasm. Then we will see pharmacologic bronchodilation. Inhaled short-acting beta-2 agonist such as albuterol is administered by metered dose of inhaler is cornerstone for the treatment of intraoperative bronchospasm. That means we should give beta-2 agonist albuterol by metered dose. Then general measures. In general measures, we should maintain hydration. Next, anxiolysis, adequate pain relief, and we should do the correction of the fluid and electrolyte imbalance. These are the general measures. And we should prevent the stimuli that causes bronchospasm. In drugs, we can give ketamine. The conclusion: the perioperative bronchospasm is common and potentially fatal complication. It is more likely to be seen in the patients with reactive airway disease, for example, bronchial asthma and COPD. The preoperative identification of the individuals at risk of bronchospasm will help to optimize their medical condition before the critical perioperative period, and it will decrease likelihood of bronchospasm under anesthesia. Next, preoperative beta 2 agonist inhalation, intubation under deep plane of anesthesia, complete neuromuscular blockade will help to minimize the incidence of and severity of the bronchospasm following tracheal instrumentation. The treatment of intraoperative bronchospasm includes number 1, deepening of anesthesia, administration of albuterol in metered doses, metered dose inhaler, and ventilation with appropriate settings. Sixth, dynamic hyperinflation may also lead to barotraumas. Hemodynamic compromise from dynamic hyperinflation can be life-threatening in cases of acute bronchospasm. Vigilance and immediate remedial measures are vital to the successful outcome